When you need something that will make your heart feel good and your cheeks hurt from smiling so much, nothing compares to a great comedy TV show. Sure, movies are great, but there's something unique about a television series. Welcome back to FilmShack. Today, we prepared for you the 10 funniest TV shows of all time. Number 10. Friday Night Lights.
Now, you two have been at this together for some time, right?
Yes, sir. He was my coach all through Pee Wee, and Coach Taylor's been QB coaching me since freshman and JV year, so it's been a while.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. As memorable mantras for a TV show go, this is up there. Peter Berg's knowing adaptation of the H.G. Bessinger book and the 2004 movie he drew from it broadened the scope of the world and wrangled memorable characters that live and breathe. Its young players are realistically flawed, and the team doesn't always win, which makes it that much more watchable. Plus, in Coach Eric Taylor, Kyle Chandler, and wife Tammy, Connie Britton, we got one of the best married couples on TV. Human people dealing with their lives, but always leading with love. And most importantly, especially for those of us in the UK, you don't need to worship the Church of the Gridiron to appreciate it. Number 9. I Love Lucy.
Oh, the coffee's good too. Where'd you learn to do all this?
Oh, just a natural-born cook, I guess.
Lucille Ball's face was an elastic wonder, capable of overflowing pouts, wide and tight smiles. It could hold quantities of chocolate that would OD the most seasoned trick-or-treater. You laughed at her face and fell in love with it, whatever she needed from you at the moment. For 6 years, she accumulated laughter and adoration as Lucy Ricardo, wife to Ricky, real-life husband Desi Arnaz, friend to Fred and Ethel, eventual mother to little Ricky. During a time when TV was still figuring out whether it was just a means to keep viewers alert during advertisements or it could be art, the majority of Americans watched I Love Lucy. During its second season, nearly 70% of the country was tuning in. Since it first began, there has not been a time when it was not airing. Even today, you can find it, and it's all because of the woman in the title. Number 8. Fawlty Towers.
Well, may I ask what you were expecting to see out of a Torquay hotel bedroom window? Sydney Opera House, perhaps? The Hanging Gardens of Babylon?
One of British TV's greatest ever sitcoms, the central question of Fawlty Towers, why the world's least hospitable man would go into hospitality in the first place, remains tantalizingly unanswered across 12 kipper-serving, Siberian hamster hunting, German baiting episodes. A straight 0 on TripAdvisor. The very layout of Fawlty Towers itself offers comedy gold, as Basil, John Cleese, his wife Sybil, Prunella Scales, waitress Polly, Connie Booth, and poor benighted Manuel, Andrew Sachs, maneuver themselves and the odd corpse around its dowdy interior without ruining anyone's stay. Basil, needless to say, fails, often and hilariously. Number 7. South Park.
Whoa, dude, you got herpes on your face too. Where is the Nintendo?
We don't have a Nintendo. We got a ColecoVision plugged into the black and white TV.
South Park is most definitely the wittiest TV show to have come from the past millennium. It is basically the perfect balance of sleaze, social satire, politics, shock value interwound with purpose, and a surprisingly heartwarming charm for a show whose reputation was basically built on political incorrectness and anarchism. It even features pretty interesting characters, though its creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone keep saying they're about ready to wrap it up so they can focus on other things. South Park survives and thrives. What started as a goofy, weird, rude animation about 4 friends, Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny, living in a small Colorado town, has long since evolved into a platform for talking about current events in a knowing, clever, funny fashion, firing jabs at all sides and never pulling its punches. With its on-the-fly, written-the-week-of release style, South Park aims for big targets and still manages to generate controversy and chatter. All in all, this is a show you have to watch if you love to laugh at something funny. You are going to die of laughter. Even the non-satirical episodes are pretty damn hilarious. Number 6. Monty Python's Flying Circus.
I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
45 episodes of bite-sized genius showcases the Pythons at their riffiest, daftest, most out-there best. A bold blueprint for British sketch comedies for years to come. Its deliberately outsized Britishness is embroidered by Terry Gilliam's surrealist animations, a little like Dali once did for Luis Buñuel, only with more giant feet and mutant chickens. The gang takes turns to poke fun at the nation's bureaucrats, toffs, game show hosts, and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, among others, and its upside worldview reaches its logical conclusion when the village idiot turns out to be the smartest character in the show. Number 5. Friends.
Monica categorizes her towels. How many categories are there?
Everyday use, fancy, guest, fancy guest.
2 seconds.
11!
How is it that a certain digital TV channel can show this quintessential 90s sitcom on a virtual loop, and it still doesn't get old? Or that Netflix can have a juggernaut hit with it, decades after its original airing? It's because Friends, at its best, is as perfect a sitcom as you will find. In its earliest days, the adventures of 6 beautiful New York-dwelling pals, who apparently earned money from drinking coffee, featured writing much sharper than the cuddly exterior suggested. Even when the quality dipped a little mid-run, the ensemble remained perfectly matched and the best comedy collective on TV. Friends was a phenomenon, to say the least. Despite a slow start, the NBC sitcom gained a loyal following that would carry it for 10 whole seasons. For its fans, Friends wasn't just another sitcom to fill a Thursday night. It was the equivalent of going to your parents' house once a week for a home-cooked meal. Cozy, familiar, a way to escape. Not only was the chemistry of the cast amusingly palpable, the show's consistent rom-com-esque storylines allowed people to become invested in the characters. Proof? Every other person can tell you exactly what a Ross and Rachel relationship means. Number 4. The Simpsons.
Sweetheart, a missing crayon could be anywhere.
Who wants lottery tickets?
Okay, it's in his brain.
Any show that runs for 30-plus seasons is bound to come in for some stick about not living up to former glory. But be honest, what could compete with The Simpsons at its height? Around seasons 4 through 8, according to most people, though there's still gold to be found after that point. Still, the continuing misadventures of Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, and the multitude surrounding them still find plenty of scope for laughs, commentary, and pop culture nonsense. It's already in the Telly Hall of Fame and continues to bring out great episodes at a higher ratio than some of its long-running brethren. Looking at you, Family Guy. Number 3. Seinfeld.
I proclaim this the Summer of George!
You know they're awful people. You wouldn't have them as your friends' friends. The 4 main characters of Seinfeld were joined together in miserable neuroses, in a bizarro world of uncompromising but unfathomable ethics, with codes incomprehensible to the people outside the circle. You know they're hilarious too. They filled American culture with shorthand we can't escape. Man hands, a puffy shirt, sponge-worthy, man fur, candy lineup. That's to name a few, and forget the score. So all the more reason to return to the episodes, where the 4 terrible New Yorkers cut funny paths through their city, the strands eventually crisscrossing. For a time, it was the standard. It began as a summer replacement series, but Seinfeld, based on the comedy of and starring Jerry Seinfeld, was given the one thing that few shows get these days: time for an audience to find it. Patience on the network's part paid off, as Seinfeld, the show about nothing, became an unprecedented juggernaut. The audience fell in love with its 4 self-centered pals, whose self-involvement draws them together, turning Jerry, Elaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, George, Jason Alexander, and Kramer, Michael Richards, into household names. Not to mention much supporting characters as Newman, Putty, Babu Bhatt, George's parents, Frank and Estelle, Uncle Leo, and of course, the Soup Nazi. As a reflection of society, the image is not a pretty one, but it is a classic. Number 2. Arrested Development.
Just haven't met anybody who's not completely self-absorbed and impossible to have a conversation with.
If that's a veiled criticism about me, I won't hear it and I won't respond to it.
What did we do to deserve Arrested Development? What with its ensemble cast, intricate narrative threads and callbacks, jokes that built for entire episodes to accumulate into brilliant punchlines like goddamn Grandmaster chess moves. If you aren't familiar, Arrested Development tells of the Bluth family, a superficially selfish bunch of affluent layouts that enters the crucible of a white-collar criminal case when the patriarch, George Bluth Sr., Jeffrey Tambor, is arrested. His most competent son, Michael, Jason Bateman, tries to keep things together. Fox canceled the show after 3 seasons, despite protests from critics and the show's cult following. 6 years ago, Netflix revived the show for a 4th season, which was recut last year and will be followed by a 5th season this year. Justice is served. Number 1. The Office.
Come on, Michael, you're interrupting.
You're kidding me! God! You say radon is silent but deadly, and then you expect me not to make farting noises with my mouth? What is this?
American attempts to translate British sitcoms rarely work all that well. For every Sanford and Son, which transported Steptoe and Son across the pond, there are the best forgotten transatlantic takes on Spaced, Coupling, and the IT Crowd. Here, though, Greg Daniels overcame an initial stumble to make something compelling in its own way. Steve Carell's star-making turn as Michael Scott is just the tip of the casting iceberg, though it's noticeable that the show was never quite the same after he left for big-screen pastures. The seemingly mundane lives of a group of corporate drones at a paper company make for entirely watchable, laugh-out-loud TV. And rather than just create a carbon copy of the British series, The Office fully embraced its American setting, using the different mores of US offices to power its comedy and characters, and offering a slightly sweeter outlook than the UK version. Excruciating embarrassment never felt so good. Like the show, the characters are so beloved and accessible because they're people you know, just exaggerated to hilarious extremes. Who hasn't had the boss who would buy himself a mug, stating that he is, in fact, the best boss? There's always a woman obsessed with her cats a few cubicles over, and there's always a Dwight, someone who cares way too much about the job and may or may not have the potential to be a serial killer. The gang's all here. We would like to invite you to share your opinion with us. Do you agree with our list? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to turn on the notifications bell. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Bye!